Introduce yourself.
So I'm Denise Kirtley, and I am a women's transformation coach.
So what got you started with getting into nutrition coaching?
That's a long story. so, um, so my story is at age 49, I had gained a lot of weight, those preceding years. As women get older, this happens to us with hormones. And I had just woken up one day and I had hit my threshold. So I started on this transformation journey myself. And that involved me tracking macros, lifting weights, working on my mindset, building healthy habits. And within 9 months, I had lost 50 pounds and fell in love with bodybuilding and ended up competing. After
really?
about 2 years, 27 months later, I competed in my first bodybuilding competition. And but beyond that, it gave me the confidence that I needed to see that there's so much more in middle life. We kind of, the narrative, we're supposed to decline and life stops. And I just realized that there's so much more that we can do. And to feel strong in your body kind of helps you do that. And through sharing my story, other women started to approach me and ask me to coach them. And at first I was like, no, it wasn't a thought, And then I just started to really connect with their stories. And I just wanted to help other women realize that, midlife is not about decline. We can really do whatever we want in midlife and beyond. So
I love that. That's awesome.
So it organically happened.
That's awesome. So take me back to when you actually started your journey, when you were like, this is enough.
Yes.
What was the catalyst, or was there a catalyst that really got you to start taking action and being consistent with that action?
Yes. So I actually had an aha moment. And that was one day I just realized my wedding rings no longer fit. And just having to take off those wedding rings because my fingers had grown so large, for me, that was it. That was enough was enough. I'd hit my threshold, I was done. And the next day I started looking for answers. And that's when I found, macros and weightlifting.
So let's take you back to you're speaking to you right before that happened.
Yes.
What would you tell that person in that state, that's in that pain, that wants to make the change but is struggling to be consistent? What advice would you give that person right now?
So I think, to me, the first step of transformation is belief. I think that you have to believe that you can get a result before you get on that path, before the path is going to be successful. I really do believe that's the first thing. So if it were me, then I would do what I was lucky to do, which was stumble upon other women that have done this and see their pictures and see that there's nothing special about them. And just realize that, if they can do it, you can do it too. I think that's really important to have a role model when someone looked just like you look, right? And to see what they were able to do, knowing that it's possible. That's the first step.
And was there anyone, while you were going through the process of losing this weight, was there anyone that kept you accountable? Did you have any kind of coach or any kind of mentors that walked you through that process?
I did. I think coaching is invaluable, which is why I became a coach as well, right? Because, what we can do is really help our clients along. You have a lot of, not only just the accountability, I think accountability is important, but that guidance and that support and the education. And if you're someone like me, getting that through, just reading something once doesn't do it. It's sort of an ongoing process and we have to change things. And so, yes, I got a coach immediately and I just highly recommend it, really, which is why I'm also a coach now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. And I think that just speaks so much to your journey because you know how it feels to be on both sides of that coaching relationship. And that gives you an insight that some other coaches honestly don't have.
No,
and that's a huge advantage. It's a huge advantage. So a lot of my clients, or a lot of women in general, a lot of their weight loss is more of an emotional. It is, we're eating food, we are drinking alcohol to cope with our emotions, to kind of mask and null and self-medicate our emotions. So when these women are having these issues with these emotions and dealing with their emotions and addressing emotions, what advice do you have to them?
Well, I was actually an emotional and a binge eater, so I did deal with those. I will tell you one thing I did in the beginning of my journey that was very valuable for me, and I think it's critical, and I have my clients do this, is this. I think you have to have a complete vision of what this person is that you're creating looks like. Not just looks like, what their day looks like, what they feel like. You have to be so clear in this vision. I knew what it would feel like when I stepped out of bed in the morning and I put my feet on the ground. What would I feel? What would my energy be like? How would my relationships be different? How would this affect my work? I mean, my vision was so detailed that when I wanted to get off track, I went back to that vision, and that became my anchor.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely critical. Also, habit replacement, right? Because I was a binge eater. It was like at night. Like the pantry would call me at night. I'd have a stressful day. I just wanted to tear into that chocolate, whatever was in there, I'd eat the whole thing, right? That was my binge eating habit. So I had a series of what I like to call mental reps. I'd go through these series of questions with myself on the couch and ask myself, how is this going to affect me tomorrow? How am I going to feel about myself tomorrow? I've worked this hard. If I wake up, and I've done this, is it worth it? All the hard work, is it worth throwing that away? Do I really need that piece of chocolate, or do I just want the taste? What's this really about? Sometimes I just get up and take a walk around the block. If it got really bad, I just go to sleep. You have to replace it with things. Yes.
I think that's very powerful. And that's something a lot of people can do. When you did that exercise of really having clarity and defining who that person you wanted to become, you actually wrote this down? Were you thinking about this? Were you making an audio recording to yourself? What did that look like?
It was definitely written down in the beginning, but every day in my mind, I would visualize that person. I actually got this from Tony Robbins. He talks about this a lot, right? You have to really have that complete vision of that goal, that person you're going to step into, and kind of act as if you are that person. Like, you have to want it so bad, like you already know what that feels like in your body. And I'm telling you, that for me as an anchor has been really amazing. I still do that, right? As I want to achieve my dreams, like you visualize it. And I have my clients do this, because if you don't have that, it can't just be about, I want to lose 10 pounds and look better in a bikini. Because if you're an emotional eater, that is not going to keep you on track. That is not compelling. You have to have something compelling to keep you on the path. And that vision is what's going to do it.
I love that so much. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Feel free to tell everyone where they can find you.
So I am 50 Fitness Journey on Instagram. That's FIFTY Fitness Journey. And it's been a pleasure.